Heartwarming transformation. Pregnant woman faints in court as shocking DNA results are revealed. The courthouse buzzed with electricity, whispers dancing through the air like fireflies. Jessica stood at the front, hands cradling her rounded belly, the weight of a tiny life inside her a constant reminder of what hung in the balance today. Heart pounding. She was surrounded by a sea of familiar faces, neighbors she served coffee and pancakes to at the diner, their familiarity now feeling like a spotlight on her. Today wasn't just another day. It was the day the world would learn about her estranged father, a man whose name had been synonymous with abandonment. "What do you think will happen?" someone murmured, eyes darting toward the back where her father, a veteran with a weathered face, sat with a look that said everything and nothing at all. Jessica could feel the weight of their judgments like a thick fog. She had spent years raising her son alone, fueled by the values her mother had instilled in her, resilience and hard work. But the haunting shadow of a father she barely knew loomed over her like dark clouds about to unleash a storm. Would the town rally behind her? Or would they feel pity for the man who returned just as she was about to become a mother? As the judge cleared his throat, a hush fell over the courtroom. The air felt heavy, charged with anticipation. Jessica gripped the edge of the wooden bench, nails digging in. She focused on the rhythm of her breathing, trying to quell the storm inside, anticipation clashing with fear. "You can do this," she whispered to herself. Her mother's encouraging words echoed in her mind, a lifeline in a turbulent sea. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The judge opened the envelope, his eyes scanning the words as the murmurs grew louder. Jessica felt her heart race as sweat trickled down her back. This was not just about her. It was about the future of her child. A future she dreamed of, filled with laughter, love, and stability. And yet, what if their futures were tied to a man who had walked away? Tension filled the room, and when the verdict slipped from the judge's lips, Jessica froze. The words hung in the air like a thick veil. Gasps rippled through the crowd. She felt cold and hot at the same time, conflicting emotions surging through her. Memories of her mother's sacrifices battling with the reality of her father's reemergence. It was like a lightning bolt had struck, rendering her speechless. Then, everything spun as darkness swept over her. Jessica felt herself collapse. The hard floor rushed up to meet her, and amidst the chaos of gasps and frantic voices, she glimpsed her father, standing helplessly, torn between remorse and the reality of his choices. Faint whispers of forgiveness and second chances wafted through the air. But would she be able to surrender her pain? The courtroom, a crucible of emotions, echoed her silent question. Could she truly forgive him and unlock a future filled with belonging for her child? The weight of multiple hearts hung in the breezy air, leaving everyone holding their breath for what might come next. Light flooded back into Jessica's awareness as she blinked against the brightness. Initially, everything felt muffled, like she was submerged in water. Gradually, clarity sharpened, and she realized she was lying on a stretcher, surrounded by cold metal instruments and concerned faces. Panic gripped her heart as she recalled the courtroom scene, her father's figure looming in the background, and the silence that had swallowed her whole. "Jessica, can you hear me?" A voice, soft yet urgent, cut through her fog. It was Dr. Simmons, the town's only physician. He was kneeling beside her, concern etched deep into his features. "I am fine," she stammered, the words coming out more like a plea. Instinctively, she pressed a hand against her belly, feeling the gentle movements inside. The baby is fine, Jessica. Just take a deep breath for me," he urged, guiding her with calm. His touch was cool and reassuring as he checked her vitals. And then she remembered the verdict, her father. The reality of the situation crashed back, returns of feelings too large to contain. What happened? Did I miss it? She fought against the remnants of confusion, pushing herself to sit up, despite Dr. Simmons' gentle protests. You didn't miss anything. We paused the proceedings for your safety, he said, a hint of relief in his voice. Jessica could see the courtroom doors flung wide open. Townsfolk remained gathered outside, voices low and filled with concern. Why hadn't someone come to tell them she was okay? Is he still here? She asked, her eyes wild. Dr. Simmons nodded. He is worried, Jessica. He never left your side. Do you want to see him? The thought sent a shiver down her spine. She needed a moment to gather herself. When she finally replied, her voice barely above a whisper. No. As she regained her strength, thoughts collided in her mind like a swarm. She could feel every glance in the hallway directed at her, each one heavy with unspoken words and judgments. Did they see her as weak? Did they think she couldn't handle what was about to happen? With a nod from Dr. Simmons, they slowly made their way back to the courtroom. As they entered, all eyes turned towards Jessica, the air thick with anticipation. She could feel the scorching gaze of her father fixed on her, filled with a mixture of hope and apology. It sent her heart racing again. Jessica? The judge's voice was steady, a beacon amidst the emotional chaos. He motioned for the proceedings to resume. The tension was electric, and Jessica felt as if every breath was being counted. We were just about to deliver the results. Wait. She found her voice rising, surprising even herself. Every ounce of bravery swelled within her as she turned to face her father. I need to know, are you here for me? For the baby? The courtroom shifted, a collective gasp underscoring the gravity of her words. The silence stretched, pregnant with potential. The atmosphere felt almost surreal, suspended in time. Her father's reply was slow, deliberate. I'm here because I want to be if you'll let me. Jessica's heart clenched at the vulnerability in his voice. If this was to be a moment of truth, she could either embrace the chance for healing or walk away from a relationship she had always longed for. Sweat pooled at her temples as the choice weighed heavy. Could she open her heart enough to let him back in? Would it break her if she tried? With a deep, trembling breath, she prepared to step into uncharted territory, ready to confront not just him, but every emotion she had kept buried for years. And in that pivotal moment, everything hinged on one phrase from the judge. The results show. Was this going to lead to closure or push her farther away? The courtroom held its breath, and so did Jessica, waiting for the flood of answers to wash over her. The results show. The judge's voice echoed, his words hanging in the air like a delicate thread waiting to snap. Jessica held her breath, a whirlwind of emotions twisting inside her. Her father stood there, weariness etched into his features. The tension between them crackled, a mixture of hope and fear. This was a moment neither of them could escape from. That the defendant is... The judge paused, the weight of his next words stalling the room's heartbeat. Jessica's hands clenched tightly into fists as she fought against the rising tide of anxiety. Did her father have the strength to withstand whatever was about to come? Did she? Not your biological father. A second ticked by, heavy and suffocating. Instead of understanding, confusion painted Jessica's features. The news didn't incite the expected joy or relief. It was more like stepping into a vast, empty chasm. Was this the truth she had been grasping for, or had she let go of the only tether tying her to her past? Murmurs erupted around the courtroom, filling the space with disbelief. Jessica turned to her father, whose hands trembled at his sides. He seemed to be fighting his own storm of emotion, relief, anger, sadness, an internal battle that mirrored her own. The judge continued, a firm voice cutting through the din. The results indicate that the relationship you believe to exist has been proven otherwise. This may shape future decisions regarding custody. Jessica felt her heart race. Custody? The realization hit like a wave, washing over her in a cold chill. The baby, her child, what would happen now? She blinked back tears. But how? If he's not my father, then who is? A silence fell like a curtain. The anticipation in the room turned electric, charging the air with so many unspoken thoughts. Her father's gaze shifted from hers to the judge, as if searching for answers in the very fabric of the courtroom. Jessica, he finally said, breaking the tension. There's so much we need to talk about. Maybe this is a chance, but she wasn't ready. The walls that she had built around her heart trembled against the ocean of questions crashing against them. A chance? Every intention felt tainted by years of separation, pain, and unanswered questions. Did he truly want to understand? The judge cleared his throat, interrupting the moment. Miss Cardwell, I believe it is essential that we discuss the implications of this revelation. No. Jessica's voice rang out, fierce and unwavering. She felt the eyes of the courtroom pinning her down, but she needed the space to breathe, to process. I need a moment. All eyes were on her, the weight of expectation heavy, pressing into her chest. Before she could second-guess herself, she turned and walked toward the side door, every step echoing the turmoil of her heart. Once outside, the soft afternoon light flooded over her. Warmth enveloped her, contrasting sharply with the cold uncertainty she had just left behind. She leaned against the wall, taking deep breaths, trying to steady the frantic rhythm of her heart. What do I do now? She whispered to herself, tears escaping her eyes. The world felt like it had shattered, each fragment a reminder of lost potential, family, trust. Before she could spiral deeper into the shadows of doubt, a gentle voice broke through the chaos. Jessica? It was Dr. Simmons, concern etched deep on his brow. Are you okay? I was worried. She looked up at him, hope flickering like a candle. What if the truth isn't what I wanted? Dr. Simmons stepped closer, his gaze unwavering. Sometimes the truth leads to new beginnings. Nothing is set in stone. You can still choose your path. Jessica swiped her tears away, a new feeling rising within her. Strength? Hope? Both? As she stood in the open air, the weight of the future loomed ahead. A choice lay before her. Would she turn back to face the chaos or step boldly into the unknown? In that moment, she caught her breath, preparing for what lay ahead. Could she embrace a future rewritten? The sound of footsteps echoed behind her, sending a shiver down her spine. She turned, her heart pounding at the thought of what or who was approaching. And standing there, solid as rock, was her father, determination in his eyes. I'm here. Let us talk. Jessica took a step forward, bridging a gap that felt too wide to cross. Would this be the beginning of healing? Or was she opening a door to more pain? The weight of his presence bore down on her with gravity. What would she say next? Would she be brave enough to hear him out? The next moment could decide everything. Jessica could feel her heart thump wildly in her chest as she faced her father. His words hung in the air, laden with gravity. She had spent years building a wall around her heart, believing that he was her anchor, her guide. Now the foundation was cracking, and she had no idea how to navigate the aftermath. Why didn't you tell me? She asked, the bitterness lacing her voice, a defense mechanism against the painful truth swirling around them. I wanted to, Jess. I swear, he replied, voice strained. I thought it was going to protect you. Protect us. Protect us how? Her anger surged, each word sharper than the last. By hiding who I really am. By letting me live a lie. She knew she was being unfair, but the pain was too raw, the betrayal too fresh. I thought he struggled to find the words. I thought you wouldn't be able to handle it. You were so vulnerable after your mother died. I didn't want to add to your burden, not back then and not now. His confession unsettled her further. She felt the tears prickling at the corners of her eyes again. Vulnerable? She repeated, incredulous. What do you think I'm feeling now? I thought I had a family. I thought I had a dad. And now he stepped closer, trying to catch her gaze, but she avoided it. This doesn't change the fact that I raised you, that I love you, love? She interrupted, an eyebrow raised. How does this demonstrate love? You've kept this from me. It makes me feel alone. The wind shifted, a gentle breeze brushing against her skin, but it did nothing to alleviate the storm inside. I'm so sorry, he said softly, his voice cracking under the weight of his remorse. I should have been honest, And for the pain this has caused, I'm truly sorry. But we can still make this right. Together. Can we? She whispered. It was a glimmer of hope, but so dim she could barely grasp it. Would they be able to rebuild? Let us just talk, he implored gently. Whatever you need to say, I'm here to listen. Taking a deep breath, Jessica felt the walls within her tremble, but she had no idea how to begin. I don't even know where to start, she admitted, her voice filled with vulnerability. Then let us start by sharing. Start from the beginning. Tell me what you're feeling. He was right there, the warmth of his presence almost comforting, like a blanket on a chilly night. But memories of confusion and betrayal still loomed over her. It's just, everything feels so shattered. Like everything is crumbling around me, she confessed, her breath catching in her throat. I get it. The world feels upside down. But rebuilding from the rubble is possible, he assured her. You're strong, Jess. Stronger than anyone I know. Just look at where you are, he gestured back toward the courthouse. You faced all of that. You can face this too. She could see the sincerity in his eyes, the desperate wish to connect. A small flicker of hope ignited within her. Maybe he was right. Maybe together, they could find a way through this. After a pause, Jessica finally spoke, her voice barely above a whisper. What if I don't want to accept this new reality? Then we find a way to navigate it together. No judgment, no more secrets. Just honesty and time. Time. Could she allow herself that? Could she trust him again? With a small nod, she took a step closer. Okay, I'll try. But it's gonna take a lot more than just words. I'll be patient, he vowed. And in that moment, they both realized healing wouldn't be quick. The road ahead was uncertain and fraught with obstacles. Yet there was a hint of light beginning to shine, fragile but growing. As they stood facing one another, ready to talk, Jessica felt a weight lift, an ounce of hope that maybe, just maybe, acceptance could blossom amidst the chaos. But then, the realization of what came next hit her like a brick. What about the baby? She whispered, her heart racing again. His face softened with concern. We'll figure that out too. Together, I promise. Jessica swallowed hard, uncertain of the path ahead. But as she looked into his eyes, she knew one thing for sure. They were at the precipice of a moment that would change everything. Would they be able to face the future together? Or was this merely the beginning of a deeper rift? Jessica took a slow step back from her father, her head spinning with the weight of his admission. The future loomed over her like a dark cloud, and she felt the knot in her stomach tighten at the mere mention of the baby. She couldn't shake the feeling that their conversation was only the beginning of a much larger storm. What about the baby? She echoed, her throat dry. What do I even do now? The panic clawed at her insides. Questions ricocheted in her mind. Was she prepared to become a mother? How could she offer a safe and stable environment for a child when she was still raw from all that had just unfolded? Jess, her father said, gently breaking through her spiraling thoughts. Let us take it one step at a time. You're not alone in this. She wanted to believe him, wanted to feel the comfort of certainty. Instead, an icy knot formed in her chest. You can say that, but it doesn't change anything. I'm still scared. I don't know who I am anymore, she confessed, her voice sharpening with frustration. The air around them felt thick and heavy. She caught a glimpse of her reflection in the courthouse window, wide eyes, a face marked by uncertainty. The girl looking back at her seemed foreign. This wasn't the Jess who faced the world with confidence. This was a stranger, shackled by doubt. Her father reached for her hand, a tentative gesture. I'll be here, Jess. Promise. We'll navigate this together. Let us talk to someone, a counselor or a therapist. Someone who can help guide us through this. Jessica pulled her hand away, rejecting the very notion. A therapist? That's your solution? I need a dad who knows how to actually help. Her anger flared again, but it was tinged with desperation. I know, and I want to be that for you. But we're both figuring this out, he replied, his voice breaking slightly. Let us just give it a shot. I can't change the past, but I want to be there for you moving forward. She looked into his eyes, searching for the sincerity she craved. In his gaze, she saw not just her father, but also a man burdened with regret. But could she accept his help? Could she allow herself to trust after so many years of feeling betrayed? You're saying all the right things, but actions matter, Dad, she said quietly, her heart racing under the weight of her fear. I need more than words. I know, and I will prove it to you. We will get through this. You're not alone. His gaze softened, and for the first time, she felt a flicker of something sadness mingled with hope. But just as she began to catch her breath, a flood of emotions hit her again. Clarity washed over her, and she realized the enormity of everything ahead. What if I'm not ready to be a mother? What if I make the wrong choices? Her father took a moment, the silence wrapping around them like a comforting embrace. Nobody's ever really ready. It's the choices you make that define your path. It's okay to be scared, Jess. Just know that I'll be here every step of the way. Jessica nodded slowly, contemplating the reality before her. Could they navigate this new, uncharted territory together? Each step felt monumental, yet she sensed the possibility of growth. The sun peeked through the clouds, casting a warm glow on her father's face. For a brief moment it felt like an invitation, a chance to build something new. Gathering her courage, she took a deep breath. Okay, I'll try. And just when it felt like a fragile truce was forming, the ringing of her phone shattered the quiet. They both glanced at it, concern etched across their faces. I should get that. She reached for the device, her fingers trembling slightly. As she answered, her heart sank when she recognized the number. It was her doctor's office, and the surge of anxiety came crashing back like a tidal wave. What if this call brought more complications? Jessica, we have results to discuss. In that instant, she realized she was on the brink of yet another revelation that could change everything. What did this mean for her? Would her world shatter again, or would it be the key to understanding herself and her future? Jessica's breath caught in her throat as her doctor's voice droned on. The words blurred together, each syllable heavy with implications she wasn't ready to face. Results indicate possible complications. We need to discuss your options. The phone slipped from her fingers, landing with a soft thud against the pavement. Her heart raced as if trying to escape her chest, and panic surged again. 1,000 scenarios rushed through her mind. What if there were serious health risks? What if she was unprepared to deal with them? She tore her gaze from the phone, locking eyes with her father. His expression mirrored her own turmoil, fear mixed with concern. Jess, what did they say? I don't know, she stammered, struggling to articulate the flood of emotions crashing over her. I need a minute. As tears brimmed in her eyes, she felt on the verge of collapse, as if the weight of the world rested squarely on her shoulders. It wasn't just about her and her father anymore. A tiny, vulnerable life was also at stake. The thought paralyzed her. Let us sit down, her father urged, gently guiding her to a nearby bench. She could feel his hand on her shoulder, grounding her in the moment. Sinking onto the cold metal seat, Jessica felt the chill of reality envelop her. What am I going to do? The words escaped her lips like a silent plea for support, for answers. We can figure this out, her father said softly, sitting down next to her. But you need to take deep breaths. Focus on what's happening now. His voice was steady. She wanted to cling to that steadiness, but doubt crept in. Could they truly navigate this journey together? A few moments passed in silence, filled only with the distant hum of traffic and whispers of people passing by. Jessica stared at her hands, shaking. She could hardly recognize them anymore. Do you remember when you were little? Her father asked. You used to love climbing to the highest point in the playground. You'd close your eyes and shout that you could see the whole world, that it belonged to you. Jessica bit her lip, blinking back tears. The memory felt like a distant echo, a reminder of the fearless child she used to be. I wanted to be strong, and you are strong, Jess. Maybe not today, but you have it inside you. His words hung in the air, creating a fragile thread of connection between them. She could see the intent in his eyes, the determination to help her through this storm. It was a small comfort, but she was grateful for it. Okay, she murmured, seeking a fleeting sense of resolve. I'll call back. But what if the news is worse than I think? Then we face it together, he replied firmly. One challenge at a time. But as she took a deep breath, the uncertainty constricting her chest returned. And what if I can't? I don't know if I'm capable of this. The raw honesty in her voice broke the silence once more. Those words felt like an admission of defeat. Yet a part of her knew she had to voice that fear. Jess, you don't have to have it all figured out right now. It's okay to not know. He reached for her hand again, and this time she didn't pull away. The warmth of his grasp acted as a beacon of hope amid her storm. As they sat together, her father's presence felt like a lifeline. She could almost believe that, just maybe, they would find a way through this chaos. Then, the phone rang again, shattering the moment. Jessica glanced at the screen and felt a rush of dread shoot through her. It was the doctor once more. Should I answer? She asked, clutching her father's hand tighter. Only if you're ready, he said, meeting her gaze with unwavering support. In that moment, she realized she stood on the edge of something monumental. The choice before her shrouded in both fear and possibility. Did she have the strength to confront the truth? The ringing continued, echoing her uncertainty as she weighed the decision. She drew a shaky breath, knowing that whatever came next, it would change everything. Would she face the call or turn away and cling to her fears? Jessica stared at her phone, feeling every beat of her heart drown out the world around her. The ringing felt relentless, as if it were taunting her, an insistent reminder of the looming uncertainty. She held her breath and squeezed her father's hand tighter, searching for the courage to answer. Each moment stretched, a tightrope between fear and hope. Jess? Her father's voice broke through her thoughts, soothing yet firmly anchored. You can do this. I'm right here. With that, she took a deep breath and swiped to answer, her finger trembling as she pressed the screen. Hello? She managed, her voice barely a whisper. Jessica, it's Dr. Adams, the doctor replied, a slight cautiousness creeping into his tone. I appreciate you getting back to me. I wanted to discuss some of the findings from your tests. Time seemed to freeze around her, the chirps of birds and hum of distant cars fading into an eerie silence. She could feel her father tense beside her, his breath held in anticipation. Okay, she said, blinking away tears that threatened to spill over again. First, I want you to know that there are potential risks, but I'm here to support you every step of the way. What we found indicates some complications. It's not uncommon, and I'm confident we can manage this, he continued, his voice steady but gentle. His words were meant to reassure, yet each syllable echoed like a hammer to her chest. Jessica felt the world tilt, the weight of the news crashing over her, and she glanced at her father. His eyes were wide with concern, brows furrowed deeply. Complications? Are these serious? What does it mean for the baby? She asked, her voice laced with urgency, a desperate plea for clarity. There are a few factors we need to address immediately. We can discuss treatment options, but I can assure you, it's possible to have a healthy pregnancy, Dr. Adams explained. She rubbed her temple, remorse washing over her. But what if I can't handle this? What if it's too much? Jessica, I can see how hard this is for you, he replied. But you're not alone. Lean on your support system. Every journey begins with uncertainty, and the most important thing is to stay informed. With each word, she felt a flicker of determination igniting within her. Could she really navigate this uncertainty? Could she shift from fear to empowerment? I'll need time to think, she said finally, her voice steadier. As she hung up the call, a sense of vulnerability washed over her. But within that vulnerability, a seed of strength began to root. Jess, what did he say? Her father pressed, worry etched across his face. She took a moment to gather herself. There are complications, and it might be scary. But I think we can figure it out. A flicker of hope ignited in her father's eyes. That's the spirit, sweetheart. We'll face whatever comes. Together. As the ground began to shift under her feet, she realized she had stepped onto a path she never anticipated. The fear still loomed, but beneath it lay the promise of resilience and love. "Let us go for a walk," she suggested, her voice firm. "I need to clear my head." As they stood together, Jessica felt the sun breaking through the clouds, warmth wrapping around her like a comforting embrace. They walked slowly, her hands still clasped in her father's. Each step felt like a tiny victory. But just then, she caught a glimpse of a familiar face in the crowd. Her best friend, Sarah, waved energetically, and for a split second, a rush of joy filled her heart. Sarah hurried over, a bright smile illuminating her face. "Jess, I heard you might need some support." Just as she spoke, a nervous flutter swept through Jessica. Would she allow herself to accept help? Would she let someone else in on this journey? Realizing the weight of that decision, Jessica hesitated. The world was opening up in ways she hadn't considered before. With every ounce of vulnerability she expected to feel, there was also an underlying current of possibility. "Yeah, I think I could use a little support," she finally replied, her heart racing forward into the unknown. Vulnerable but brave. As Sarah embraced her tightly, Jessica felt a shift inside. The journey was only beginning. What would that mean for her and the tiny life growing within her? And would she truly embrace the strength she had yet to uncover? Questions hung in the air, promising new challenges ahead, as bright as the sun overhead. Jessica took a step away from the crowd, her heart still racing from the unexpected support of her best friend. Sarah's warmth enveloped her, a gentle reminder that she didn't have to face this alone. The city was alive, bustling around them. But for Jessica, time felt suspended in the moments shared with her friends and family. "You seem a little overwhelmed," Sarah observed, her tone both playful and compassionate. "Want to talk about it?" "I don't even know where to begin," Jessica admitted, glancing back at her father, who caught her eye and smiled encouragingly. She turned her gaze back to Sarah, whose expression was serious now. "Just take it one step at a time. Life can be a mess, but you've got people who care about you. We'll figure it out together," Sarah reassured her, squeezing her hand. The sincerity in her friend's voice conjured a fresh wave of relief, dissolving some of the tension wrapping around Jessica's chest. "Thanks, Sarah," she said softly, biting her lip as fresh tears threatened. "You always know what to say." Sarah tilted her head playfully. "It's a gift. Besides, what are friends for if not to rescue you from the depths of stress?" Jessica laughed softly, but beneath her lightheartedness, questions still churned in her mind. How could she reconcile the weight of the news she had just received with her desires for the future? Questions about health, about strength, about bringing a baby into a world filled with uncertainty. They found a quiet bench tucked away among some trees, away from the bustling crowd. Jessica inhaled deeply, the scent of spring blooming around them a stark contrast to the intensity of her thoughts. "Is there something specific you're worried about?" Sarah asked, leaning in closer, concern etched on her face. "I mean, with the baby?" Jessica hesitated. "It's all so new, you know? The complications. I just keep thinking, what if I fail this baby? What if I can't do this?" Sarah tilted her head. "What if you change the narrative? What if you think about how much you want this, how strong you already are?" For a moment, Jessica couldn't speak. Her mind raced back to every moment leading up to this. The anticipation, the excitement, the surreal reality of impending motherhood. "But there is so much risk," Jessica muttered, trying to grasp the enormity of it all. "How do I know I'm ready? For starters, you're here, right? You're willing to face this," Sarah countered, her eyes lighting up. "And you're fighting for it. That strength, Jess." The truth in Sarah's words began to settle in her chest. Maybe there was strength in vulnerability, too. Maybe seeking support wasn't a weakness, but a vital part of this journey. "I guess I want to be brave," she replied, her breath wavering. "But I need to figure out what that looks like." Bravery doesn't always mean making bold moves. Sometimes it's about being honest with yourself and letting others help, Sarah said softly, resting a hand on Jessica's knee as the sun dipped lower in the sky, casting a golden light across the park. Jessica felt something shift in her. A glimmer of hope sparked a possibility. Maybe she could embrace this journey, however daunting it seemed. Just then, a group of children playing nearby erupted into laughter, breaking through her heavy thoughts. Jessica watched as their carefree joy flooded the scene, igniting a warmth in her heart. She could almost picture her own little one running around, giggling without a care. But then the weight of responsibility returned for an instant. What kind of world was she bringing a child into? Jess, Sarah broke her reverie. Don't you think you'll be a wonderful mom? You've got a huge heart. Yeah, Jessica said, a slow smile creeping onto her face despite the lingering doubts. I hope I can be what they need. You will be, Sarah assured her, her resolve shining through. And I'll be right here, celebrating every step. Jessica squeezed Sarah's hand tightly, feeling a swell of gratitude. They sat in comfortable silence, a peace settling over her. Even in the face of uncertainty, she was not alone. Just as she began to feel more grounded, Jessica's phone vibrated in her pocket. A harsh interruption to the moment. She pulled it out and saw it was a text from her father. There is something else we need to talk about. Her heart dropped. What could it be now? Jessica exchanged glances with Sarah, who raised an eyebrow, concern returning. What is it? Sarah asked, her voice steady but laced with worry. I don't know, Jessica replied, dread creeping in again. But it feels big. As the cool breeze brushed against her cheeks, the weight of the unknown loomed over her like dark clouds gathering on the horizon. What was her father about to reveal? Would it change everything again? Jessica's phone felt heavy in her palm, the words on the screen echoing in her mind. There is something else we need to talk about. It was an invitation to dread, a wave threatening to crash over her. She glanced at Sarah, whose eyes betrayed the concern growing in her chest. Maybe it's not as bad as it sounds, Sarah offered, but her voice was hesitant. Taking a deep breath, Jessica decided to read the entire text. Can we meet at the cafe later? I have news. Just 4 words, yet her heart raced. What kind of news? Was it about her pregnancy or something else entirely? The questions leapt like rabbits in her mind, each one more bewildering than the last. I need to talk to him, Jessica announced, her voice shaking slightly as she stood up. The park had suddenly felt too expansive, the trees too tall, as if they were watching her stumble into the unknown. Are you sure you're ready? Sarah asked, still seated, concern etched in her brow. No, but I have to know, Jessica replied, a spark of determination igniting in her chest. Before she could change her mind, she took off in the direction of the cafe, where the air felt thicker with anticipation as she walked. Each step echoed her anxiety. The laughter of children and the sense of blooming flowers felt distant, overshadowed by her swirling thoughts. She thought of her dad, his smile, his kindness, and how proud he looked when she told him about the baby. But now, what else could he possibly want to discuss? The cafe doors chimed softly as she entered, but Jessica barely noticed the cheerful chaos inside. Her father sat at a small table in the corner, his face serious, knitting her insides with dread. She took a seat across from him, heart hammering. Hey, Jess, he said softly, his voice warm yet cautious. She could see the weariness in his eyes. I'm glad you came. Dad, what is going on? She cut straight to the chase, her voice steady despite the tremble in her fingers. There is something I didn't tell you before, he started, his gaze dropping to the table. About your pregnancy. There is a chance you could be at risk for something. Jessica's breath hitched. What do you mean? What kind of risk? Her father's eyes met hers, and she could feel the weight of unspoken fears. The doctor suggested a screening. It's a blood test that checks for genetic conditions. I was going to tell you earlier, but I didn't want to stress you out. Jessica's world began to spin. Genetic conditions? The words hung in the air like a storm cloud, and she felt the heaviness press down on her chest. Why didn't you tell me sooner? Did Mom know? The questions flowed out, panic rising with each one. I didn't want to worry you. Your mother, he hesitated, emotions flickering across his face. Your mom always believed in facing problems head-on, Jess. But I think we owe it to you and the baby to be aware of any risks. In that moment, Jessica felt like a child again, overwhelmed by fears that felt too big to manage. What if something is wrong? What if I can't handle it? Hey, he said softly, reaching across the table to hold her hand. No matter what happens, you're not alone. We'll face this together. You're already being so brave. The warmth of his hand connected her to a thread of strength she almost forgot she had. But what if I can't be the mom I want to be? She fought back tears, vulnerability etched across her face. You will be, Jess. Just take it one day at a time. He squeezed her fingers, grounding her in that swirling moment of uncertainty as she leaned back, trying to breathe through the panic swirling inside her. Something stirred within. Perhaps there was strength in allowing her fears to exist alongside her love for the baby. Maybe facing the truth, no matter how painful, was another step toward the bravery she longed for. But just before she could embrace this new resolve, her phone buzzed again. A message from the doctor. Please call me as soon as you can. The edges of her world flickered. Joy, fear, hope, all folded into one. Let us go for a walk, she suggested, needing to move to process everything. As they stood up, a sense of determination settled over her like a protective cloak. But as they stepped out into the bustling street, a new layer of anxiety crept in. Would the next conversation open doors she wasn't ready to walk through? As they strolled side by side, her father's voice faded into the noise around them, leaving her with the echo of questions still swirling in her mind. Dad, what if she began? But the weight of uncertainty loomed large, a reminder of just how far the road ahead might reach. What would the doctor tell her next? The cafe buzzed with life, but to Jessica, it felt like the world had slowed down. Her heart pounded as she walked alongside her father, each step heavier than the last. Questions churned in her mind like a relentless tide. What would the doctor say? How would they navigate this uncertainty? Jess, her father murmured, his hand still holding hers, warm and steady. You're doing so well. Just remember, we'll face this together. She nodded but kept her eyes on the ground, trying to keep the rising panic at bay. I need to know what I'm dealing with. As they continued down the sidewalk, Jessica felt a small spark of determination push through the clouds of anxiety. The uncertainty was daunting, but within it was a chance for connection, a chance to embrace what lay ahead. Imperfections and all at the clinic. She sat in the waiting room, her father beside her. The walls felt as if they were closing in, yet there was a strange comfort in his presence. He didn't speak, just sat quietly, squeezing her hand when the intensity of the moment threatened to overwhelm her. Finally, the nurse called her name, and her heart raced. She rose slowly, the gravity of the moment weighing down on her. Her father followed closely, a silent warrior at her side in the consultation room. Dr. Adams greeted them with a calm smile that did little to ease Jessica's swirling emotions. Thank you for coming in, Jessica. How are you feeling? Overwhelmed, she admitted, her voice trembling. I just want to know what's happening. Perfectly understandable, he replied with a gentle nod. I have the results from the screening, and I want to assure you we're here to discuss all possible steps we can take. As he began to explain, the medical terms floated around her like autumn leaves caught in a whirlwind. There are some potential conditions, but we can manage them, and many patients go on to have healthy pregnancies. Jessica's mind couldn't fully absorb his words. Part of her felt relieved, while another part wrestled with fear. What if there's something wrong with the baby? She asked, her voice a whisper. Her father squeezed her hand tighter, grounding her in the moment. No matter what the doctor says, you're not alone. Dr. Adams continued, every pregnancy is unique, and we'll make a plan that works for you. You have a strong support system, and that will help you navigate what comes next. Tears filled Jessica's eyes. She thought about the journey ahead, the fears, the joys, and the unknowns. Could she really open her heart to it all? What if I'm not strong enough? She asked, her voice trembling. You are stronger than you think, her father assured her gently, his voice thick with emotion. And strength isn't just about facing adversity. It's also about asking for help. Jessica took a deep breath, allowing his words to wash over her like a comforting wave. Maybe she could be brave. Maybe asking for support didn't mean weakness. It could be the very essence of her strength. "Let us take it a step at a time," she finally said, her voice steadier. Together, Dr. Adams smiled, and they crafted a plan. There were support groups to join, specialists to consult, and strategies to manage whatever came next. With each detail discussed, Jessica felt the fog begin to lift. She was still scared, still uncertain, but hope began to twinkle like stars emerging in the dusk. As they left the clinic, Jessica walked a little taller, her heart lighter. Her father walked beside her, their hands still intertwined. She looked up at him, finding comfort in his steady presence. "Thank you for being here," she said, her voice soft but genuine. "I'll always be here, Jess, no matter what." And for the first time in a long while, Jessica believed him. The clouds might still loom, but she could see glimmers of light breaking through. The journey ahead was uncertain, but she wouldn't have to face it alone. "Can we go somewhere? Maybe get some ice cream?" she suggested, a smile breaking through her worries. "Absolutely. Just what you need," her father replied, his face lighting up with joy. As they walked toward the ice cream shop, laughter bubbled up between them, filling the spaces that had once felt so barren. The sweetness of their shared ice cream matched the warmth blooming in her heart. In that moment, Jessica realized that while the road ahead might wind through challenges, it also would be filled with chances for healing and love. Despite everything, she could embrace the journey ahead. With each step, she was carving a new path not just for herself but for her child, too. This was the beginning of a new chapter, one defined by possibility and connection. As they enjoyed their ice cream, surrounded by laughter and life, she took a moment to breathe deeply, inhaling the sweet scent of hope. "The future is ours," she thought, a radiant smile lighting up her face. And as she made her way forward, her heart swelling with courage, a gentle resolve settled in. She was ready to embrace whatever came next. Today was not just about the past. It was about building the future. And that future was bright. Now, you must not miss out on the next inspiring story. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. It truly makes a difference. Comment your reactions and feelings about the ending below. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Your support matters. And only true fans understand the importance of acting now. Let's create a community that lifts each other up.